Hey everybody, I'm Zee Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at a two-player abstract game called Squadro. This is a game about traversal. It's one in which you are trying to move your pieces across the board and then move them back again without your opponents jumping over your piece, capturing it, and sending it back to the starting line. I'm going to go ahead and give you a look at how the game works. We'll come on back up here in just a couple of minutes, and I'll tell you what I think of it. In the game, the players are going to have one of the two colors, and what you are attempting to do in order to win is have 4 of your 5 pieces make it all the way across the board, turn around, and then come back. If you do that 4 times before your opponents, you win the whole thing. And on your turn, you are going to pick one of your pieces and advance it the number of steps as printed on the side it has left from around the base of the figure. And so I'm not sure how discernible this is, but there's 1 dot here, 3 next to this one, 2, 3, 1. Now, these pieces, as I said, have to move that many spaces. So if I choose to move this on my opening move, it would go 1, 2, 3, and stop there. Next time it would go 1, 2, 3, get there and turn around. When you get to the opposite side, you must stop and turn around, even if you had leftover movement that you could have used. You lose that and you spin your piece. On the way back, you are going to have a new number. And so if you left from a 2, you'll also return with 2. But if you left from a 3 or 1, you'll return with speed of 1 or 3 respectively. And so this piece on the way back will move 1 step every time the player chooses to move it. So that's the basic mechanisms. However, that requires a little interference from your opponent. And here's how that goes. Let's say I choose to move this piece. Not sure why I would do that. But let's say I go 1, 2, 3. And then it's my opponent's turn. If they would move a piece that would land on mine or go past it, this one moves 2, 1, 2. They'll go to the next open space. And the piece that just got overtaken is sent back to where it was coming from. Meaning if you already had turned around and were on your way back, you don't reset the entire way, you just go back to 50% of that piece's trip, okay? And then this one would be here. And you continue doing this, trying to capture your opponent's pieces and not have your own captured. And so very quickly it becomes a game about not wanting to make a move. This player could go 1, 2, 3. The opponent here might go 1, 2, 3. Now this player over here, the original player, will not want to step in front of this one, just like this player would not want to step in front of this one. Now they could. It's still 3 steps. They could make it all the way across. And in fact, they might do that. But they'll go ahead and leave that one there just in case anybody stops on their way. And they can jump on them and stop them, okay? So it'll be this player's go. They'll go 1, 2. This player over here might go 1, 2, 3. This piece is not safe to move right now, but this one has just become safe to move. So maybe they'll go ahead and do that. This player here might make it all the way across and get ready to catch this piece because it'll only move 1, and boom, it'll get captured. And so again, your movement possibilities very quickly start to dwindle. What you can safely move anyway. You can move any of them, but you know you're giving up something up by doing so. That's pretty much the feeling and the idea behind the game. So now that you have an understanding of how it all works together, let's go back up top and let me tell you what I think of it and how I feel about it. Alright, so that is Squadro. Let's talk about it. We're going to start off with thematic ties. Again, this is an abstract game, so I tend to talk about things like, the tactile pleasure in the game, and if it gives you interesting emotions while you are playing. In this game, in this case, I think it does. I think the components used in the game are very attractive. They are unusual pieces. They sort of make me think of shark fins in some way. And I think the idea, this big game of chicken that sort of develops, this idea of not wanting to take a turn, can be interesting. Aesthetics, component quality, the artwork, the sort of the way the game looks on the table. The game looks great. I love the wood that is used for all of the components, and I like the 2 different colors are very easy to tell apart. Never mind that they are moving at different angles as well. but they are, attractive. There's very few pieces, obviously, as you can see, but I think they look very well made, and they are, in fact, very well made. Replayability. Does the game give you new things to discover, and does it have an evolving sort of play experience from session to session? Here, I think the game falters. I think the playing the game once can be interesting as a discovery exercise. This idea of sort of having to rewire your brain a little bit, because most abstract games about traversal, you can block your opponent. And in fact, you are largely trying to move yourself ahead while blocking your opponent. In this one, you do not want to get in your opponent's way. You're hoping they get in your way, and you can jump over them and send them back. So that takes a little getting used to. But once you've discovered that over a play or two or three, I think the replayability just is not really there. There is not enough of in my opinion, there's not enough of a decision tree that the game has as much replayability as some of the abstract greats, Game length. Is the game short enough that it stays interesting the whole time, or does it eventually get repetitive in a single play session? I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with the game length here. It's punchy. The game is quick enough where I would not worry about it outstaying its welcome in a single play session. It's fine. Getting 4 of your pieces across the board and back can be very quickly. And even the having a piece jumped over and sent back, I was worried upon reading the rules that would lead to frustration. No one likes the idea of a game where a die roll or a card flip or something resets progress. This game almost, kind of lives and dies by that, but thankfully it's not long enough where I found the re and reset idea to be problematic. So that's I'm thankful for that. So game length is good. Ease of play. Is the game fiddly in any way? Does it have any design choices that could have been left out? Anything like that? As hopefully most abstracts do, there should be the absolute just essentials at play, and this game does manage to do that. There is nothing here that feels extraneous. There is nothing here that could have been left out. Everything that's in play is exactly what's needed. So that's well done. And then lastly, tactics and strategy. Does the game feel like it give you enough interesting choices to warrant, further exploration? Again, here I think that the game stumbles a little bit. Once you've wrapped your head around what I was talking about earlier, this idea of rewiring your brain to understand what to do and not do, your decision tree quickly shrinks, where only a couple of pieces, let's say a few, halfway through the game, let's call it, very few of your pieces can safely move to not then be immediately captured. And so, yes, that's interesting to have tough decisions, right? Tough choices to make. But when, 80% of the choices lead to backtracking for you, none of those are interesting. Are some better than others? Yes, absolutely. Some choices will reset you farther back than others. But when you only have a couple of safe pieces you can move, there is a fine line between choices and restriction, and the game starting to play itself a little bit. I think this one dips its toe in that second camp a couple of times, unfortunately, and I don't really want that from an abstract game. So overall, I think this game is very well made. I think it is clever in some ways, and I think it does offer something that I haven't really seen in other abstract games, this idea of not blocking your opponent, but exactly the opposite. Don't get in their way. But I don't think that necessarily something, original and interesting does not necessarily translate to a game that is fantastic. And I don't think this game is fantastic. I think the game will reward a couple of plays, maybe a few, but I think after that it grows stale. It grows samey. The choices become much more evident. What you should do and should not do is fairly apparent in this game. And that's not great for an abstract game. You want to excel, you want to explore, you sort of want to do a deep dive into an abstract game. you want that first play to leave you hungry, to leave you wanting. In this game, during a first play, especially from someone who's used to playing abstracts, and the folks I played with, they're good gamers, they're solid abstract players as well. You know, you've discovered what you need to discover during that first session. The rest of the plays are going to be somewhat on, semi-automatic play. So I'm not condemning this one. This is, I would rate this game a 6 out of 10. But there are so many other better abstract games that are going to give you that long-term involvement, that evolving story that you begin to tell, especially with the same gaming partner from session to session. I don't think this game can offer that. So there you go, Squadro, gorgeously made, but not quite one that for me has a place among the greats when it comes to abstract gaming, and there are quite a few games in that category. So there you go. Thanks for checking this out with me. I appreciate it. I am Zee Garcia, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.